Hi, Chris. Welcome to the Venari podcast.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
Amazing. Well, we're very excited to be having this conversation today because we're going to be talking about all things innovation. And what an amazing time to be talking about this topic as, the aviation industry comes out of what was, a cataclysmic era for them during the pandemic. But it seems like you guys in particular at Vancouver Airport have done quite a lot to push past that and make the most of a bad situation. And we're going to talk about your role as Director of Innovation and Technology at Vancouver Airport Authority, but also some of the challenges of being in that role, full stop, and what you guys feel is the best way to let innovation succeed in an organization. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to kick off with a quick question around just you. I'd love to know a bit about you, introduce yourself and your role and what you're currently up to at Vancouver Airport.
Yeah, thanks. And I just wanted to kind of touch on what you said at the beginning about how important innovation and tech transformation is these days. So I think before the pandemic, it used to be it was kind of a nice to have for airports and for industries. Yeah. And I think what the pandemic and all of the subsequent issues that have arisen within the airport airline industry have taught us is that this is no longer just a luxury. This is a necessity for us to be able to kind of create that structure to be able to withstand whatever comes our way today or tomorrow, because it seems to be happening in such frequency. So I'm really happy to kind of share what innovation means for YVR, what we're doing and where we're going. So my name is Chris Gilliland. I'm our Director of Technology Development within the innovation team at Vancouver Airport Authority. Now, I've been here many years at YVR, but progressively in different roles. And I think back in 2013, we created a new department, the innovation team at YVR. And I joined at that time. And we had a really interesting mandate. And our mandate was to develop new technologies. And I don't mean something that was off the shelf, but something that brand new, invest in new technologies that would solve our challenges first here at YVR. And then if there was a commercial opportunity, we would spool up a business development team and we'd go sell it to other airports. So it's been a fantastic journey to be able to chart my career and to be able to contribute to the industry and to my airport, the community that we serve in this role. And happy to talk a little more in the future about how other airports should be investing in this type of transformation.
Well, I was going to ask you because I think if it was 2013 that you guys built that function and decided to make that shift, you were probably one of the earlier businesses to really embrace innovation and that role. I was quite interested as well to unpack why you decided to build your own products in-house. And is that something you still do right now? Are you still building things internally? You have the capability yourself?
Yeah, I think we're one of the only few airports in the world to have an in-house software development team. And again, I can't stress enough how important that is for us to be able to, kind of chart our own destiny that way. I'm a big fan of not being reliant on suppliers all the time. They certainly play a role, but airports, industry, they can take a much bigger role at kind of charting their own course when it comes to technology and investment in technology. So yeah, how I got into this was we had a really bad problem at YVR and a lot of other airports at the time, the late 2000s. And this was about long border lineups. We have two borders at YVR, CBSA and CBP, long lineups. There wasn't a lot of technology out there that would solve our problems. So we collaborated with CBSA, or Canada Border Services Agency, and we thought, if we introduce a self-service technology, like a self-service kiosk, but actually built for border control, I think that would solve the challenges. So we worked with CBSA. We spooled up a development team. We hired developers. We hired solutions architect, product owners. We built a prototype. And in 2013, we were the first airport to introduce kiosks for border control. It worked so well at YVR at reducing our border waits. We had other airports knock on our doors. We want in on this. We want to be able to assume the same advantages. And that's how we kind of created that commercial opportunity. Right up until the pandemic, I think we were at 57 airports around the world. And again, I encourage my colleagues to look at this opportunity of when you build in-house development teams, the commercial impact, creating new revenue streams for an airport. I think it's a pretty cool business model.
And interesting, because we were speaking about Schiphol earlier, and they, I think, are very much in the same boat with being able to build these technologies in-house and then take them to market. So it's nice to see that there are airports kind of leading the way and setting these standards, and then being able to allow that industry to kind of push forward, because you guys are very codependent as a sector.
Yes.
Travel industry is very codependent. You cannot really push the needle too much further without the rest of you kind of also inching forward. So interesting. And that role with the kiosks, that was one of many successful product launches. And the one that we want to talk about really is your latest digital twin platform, which from what I understand has been an absolute hit in the market. I'd love to know a bit more. I mean, well, firstly, tell us what that is and how it kind of functions in your airport.
Great. So for those that may not be familiar, a digital twin, or our digital twin, is an exact digital replica of all of our terminal buildings, our airside facilities, our landside facilities, and the Musqueam lands on which we are located. So we took the opportunity during the pandemic to do a lot of investment into capturing all of the data, so that we could create really high fidelity 3-dimensional model of our facilities. We also have a 2-dimensional model of our facilities. And what a digital twin essentially does is it's a platform, scalable platform, that brings in all of the data sources at an airport. And for the audience, everyone knows just how many complex systems there are operating in an airport. But I think what we didn't have as an industry before this was one place, one single place where all of the information could come. We could apply machine learning, some AI, so that we can understand what's happening right now at our airport, what happened a couple of minutes ago. And what's really exciting about this technology is what's going to happen today, tomorrow, next week, or next year. So it's this insight that we're getting, this ability to make really good, quick decisions with data. That's the foundation of our YVR digital twin.
And I've got a million questions, I guess, because it's very exciting, right, for you guys, but also for the broader industry. How has it landed in the business? Because obviously it's been a very positive thing, but what's the impact been across the existing infrastructure and operating model of the airport so far?
Let me first acknowledge that any investment in digital transformation, any new products, it takes a while, especially for airports. We're quite a conservative, bureaucratic industry, and introducing new technologies, it's always a challenge. And again, we've had that experience with the kiosks, and now with the digital twin. My advice here is make sure that we have executive sponsorship right from the beginning, on making sure that our executives, right down from the CEO and the board, understand what this technology is and have that support. Start small, start agile, iterative processing. You don't need to create a large platform and have everything perfect before you launch. And I think that's a mistake that a lot of airports make, in terms of having that everything perfect before you go into market or introducing it to your colleagues. Start small, iterative, prove out the concept, have some really good visuals, be able to show what's happening, and then slowly work your way around the organization that way.
So, and really that's much more about the actual culture as well, right? That building that sort of momentum and allowing this to land softly. You really are kind of bringing the business along on that journey with you. And I think that's really valuable for any CIO or chief digital officer or chief innovation officer listening to this within the aviation industry. Because as you know, Venari Partners, this is a big market for us. And I'm sure many of our network will be watching this and wondering how you've managed to do this and do this so successfully, as one of the first airports doing this. So I'm going to ask you about, like, right at the early days, who came up with this, and how long has it taken you, and how did you get the budget sign off, just all the kind of questions right back at the beginning.
So we had an executive CEO change during the pandemic. And that was really the catalyst for investment into a digital twin. I recall one of my first meetings with Tamara was her asking us, why don't we have it? Why don't we have a digital twin? Have we ever considered a digital twin? She saw that, coming in fresh set of eyes, that we have all of these data sources, yet it's not available in one place for our staff to make decisions. So I remember during the meeting, I was quickly Googling what is a digital twin, just to familiarize myself with it. But a couple months later, we had the initial investment that we needed, and we were within 6 months, we had our proof of concepts out being used by our employees.
Like, very positive example of where having a CEO or even having any kind of backing at stakeholder just carries so much weight, doesn't it? I mean, so that's been a fortunate situation to have that sort of investment from the rest of your peers.
It was. And I just want to add that, another reason that we were so quick to be able to go to market is kind of our innovation hub philosophy. And that is, working with partners, working with companies where there's an exchange of value. So for example, if you test and trial a product here at our airport, whether that's in our digital sense or our physical sense, we'll give you all the resources, we'll give you all of the data to prove out a concept. And then in return, there's some marketing bragging rights that, hey, you've made it work, you've made a product work here at YVR. It's exchange of value. And that's exactly what we did with our digital twin platform. We did not go out to the market with a long competitive bid. We identified who we wanted to partner with. It's a company called Unity. They're probably the largest gaming engine in the world. We really liked their philosophy. And it was that kind of that partnership that allowed us to be able to really accelerate development. So again, it was a direct award. There was a lot of benefit to us by doing that. And hey, we got a product out that was working and being used by our employees within 6 months.
Which is just tremendous. And so obviously now I'm thinking, well, hang on, if all airports had this model, what would be the sort of significant impact on the industry? And I think that's the question is, so how do you think this will influence the industry full stop? I mean, what kinds of significant trends are we going to see off the back of this product alone?
Data sharing, sharing with not only our employees, but with stakeholders. So think of all of the stakeholders who go into operating, supporting an airline or airport operations. Again, we've learned through the pandemic and some really bad weather-related events recently is that there's a real need for everyone to be on the same page. And again, the investment into this platform is going to be able to make sure that we're all using the same data and we're coming up with the same conclusions and that we're working together as an industry. So for example, in our digital twin, we have what would you call a situational awareness module. So we're looking at passenger flows, we're looking at capacity constraints, and we're getting alerts of where we're going to have potential issues. For example, coming in through customs, we know that we've got 3 777s coming in, and we've only got so many desks open in CBSA. So this, again, working with our partners, we can say, hey, in the next hour, there's going to be some real issues. What can we do to work together to be able to minimize this risk? So we can redivert some customer service desks. Staff to make sure that customers are better prepared. CBSA can rearrange some of the staff. And so that's where we're really going to be going. And I see, this common platform for industry is kind of really the future.
And again, I was just thinking in terms of just communication, right, with that customer journey piece, being able to alert them much more quickly about, upcoming delays and or expected changes to their travel route. On that, based on what you've just said there, how are you getting the most value at the moment from using the digital twin on a daily basis?
Yeah, so one of the important use cases, as I mentioned, was situational awareness, understanding what's happening right now. And be able to dynamically redeploy staff on the fly. What that allows us to do is to decrease the number of staff that we have on duty, for example, and to be able to shift resources depending on where the flight activity is at the airport. We're also using it as a dispatch tool for our maintenance. So be able to create work orders, to be able to visualize where these work orders are and really create an efficient pathway for our maintenance staff to get work done. Where we're going in the future is simulation. Again, that's another big thing. How can we change variables using the digital twin, take an asset out of service, take a runway out of service, put in a flight schedule, and see what happens that way. So again, we have some simulation capabilities, but again, nothing as fulsome as what we're going to be able to do in the digital twin. When you combine data sources, and the digital twin, we're also able then to help us with our climate objectives. So right now, we are measuring GHG emissions from aircraft in real time. So everything from 3,000 feet to an aircraft arriving at the gate. We know what type of aircraft are operating in our space. We know what type of engines they have. And by looking at the data sources, we know how fast and what phase of flight the engines are. So now we're able to capture in real time what are our emissions as of right now of all of the activity on our air side. Again, that's really powerful stuff, because when you start to look at simulation and being able to put a flight schedule in 6 months in advance, we can start to apply machine learning and some AI to let us know what's the most efficient use of our airside to be able to reduce GHGs. And that's such an important objective for us.
And in terms of the wider industry then, because that's huge, right? That benefit is huge. Who else is doing this at the moment? Who else has got the digital twin concept up and running that you're aware of in the industry?
Yeah, so I keep a close eye on what our colleagues at Dallas Fort Worth are doing, what Hamad International are doing. There's some good examples of digital twins out there in the industry. But what I encourage my colleagues in the industry is go a little further with use cases for a digital twin. It doesn't always have to be hard efficiency gains. It can also have heart and soul, which we really believe in. I mentioned before that YVR is located on the traditional and unceded territory of Musqueam people. And we have some partnerships with Musqueam, a long-term sustainability and friendship agreement. And we're using this technology to tell the story of Musqueam people. So we're going to create a virtual museum of all of the artwork we have at YVR, and to be able to display it on our platforms. And also, we're going to kind of roll back, a little bit of a timeline, and to be able to show what our airport looked like hundreds of years ago, before there was an airport, and we had Musqueam villages. So again, it helps us with our reconciliation efforts.
Chris, what do you think are the primary challenges that the industry faces that holds it back in certain areas in terms of innovating? Because you guys have had some really great success, but I know that others in the industry are struggling to get the same track record going. So what would your advice be, or what do you think the challenges are there?
Yeah, I think a couple things. There's investment. How does an airport get started? In difficult times, getting money for new projects can be really difficult. Also, another I just kind of will touch on after is adoption of the technology. You can invest all of the money into a solution, but if no one's using it, why did you do that? So coming back to funding, we're all under constraints. And I just want to mention, I think constraints, whether they're budget constraints or space constraints, that actually can be a really good thing for forcing innovation and being really creative, being very entrepreneurial that way. Yes, we were lucky that we had investment from our organization, but I'm not relying on that for future development and growth of our digital twin. We are in active discussions. We're showcasing our work to government. And I'm really pleased to see that government sees the value of what we're doing in terms of creating this collaboration tool. And they're willing to invest into it because they see the value. We're talking to other industries where they want to connect their twins in the region to our twins. So again, opportunities for investment. We have a large port facility in Vancouver, a lot of cruise ship operations, a lot of cargo. So there's a lot of interest from industry to see how does what happens at the airport impact the roadways, impact the port. And there's money out there for testing and trialing these assumptions. And finally, as I said, why do we create commercial opportunities? It's because we want to be self-funding eventually in terms of our product, not always having to rely on our organization for funding. And again, we've done it with the kiosks. and we fully plan on doing it with our digital twin.
So my last question to wrap things up, and thank you so much for the conversation so far. Aside from Vancouver, which other airport do you think is the most innovative at the moment globally?
Yeah, as I say, I keep my eye on what's happening with my colleagues, and I think what Amsterdam Schiphol is doing. Quite a similar philosophy of creating solutions that meet their needs and then going out and selling other airports. I know they're working on a really interesting turnaround solution. So, hats off, congratulations on that. And also, Aéroport de Rome is really investing in their innovation hub concept, providing opportunities for local businesses to test and trial and develop products for their airports. So, congratulations to them too. Again, those are two really good examples.
It sounds like you guys have got such an amazing future ahead of you and lots to do. So wish you all the very best of luck with taking that product out to market. Thank you so much, Chris. Fascinating conversation. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Liv. Appreciate it.